these girl guides are like one was basically like you can you're gonna have to share that with your kids, and I'm like, oh man, deal's off. And the other one, she realized she was losing the deal, and she's like, how about you share one box, but then the other one just for you, and I'm like, you can come back.
You have a deal, kid. Now get out of here.
Probably come back tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Press X the podcast, where it is April the 16th, 2018. This is episode 14. I'm Paul Sullivan, I'm your host. And back from the dead, it's Trevor Houston.
Hey, hello. Good to be back.
And here once again in fine salty form, it's Shawn Petraschuk.
Salty? I'm never salty. I'm the most pleasant guy on this podcast. I don't think I could actually ever say that with a straight face.
Trevor, your little chuckle just goes to show you that you actually listened to the cast last week and saw that Shawn continued to be salty in your absence.
Yes. It's a level of saltiness that I've come to enjoy and appreciate and just count on week to week. We need that salt. I mean, when I'm having dinner, I need some salt, and when I'm doing the pod, I need some salt.
I add the salt, and you add the pepper, I guess.
Yeah, there we go.
Sure. I'm the salt, and you're the spice?
Yeah.
No homo.
Boy,
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all. No, not at all.
Oh, God, cover our tracks.
That's like becoming our favorite phrase on this cast, isn't it? I feel like we say that every week. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I thought you were going to say no homo. I'm pretty sure that's the first time we've said that.
Yeah, no.
I feel like we should have like a bus backing up soundbite so that whenever like we say something we shouldn't, that beep beep beep, because we really have to like eat our words for a couple of seconds. So
like when I have one extra beer than I should have and start talking about things that I'm going to be showcasing at E3 that I probably should not be talking about on a podcast.
Whoops.
that Paul thankfully is on top of and goes, are you sure you want me to talk about or let that fly?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, the tone in your voice when I asked you about that was like, oh shit, I talked about that? Fuck me.
Well, no, I mean, it's not like I remembered. I just was like, you just kind of get in the flow of talking. And that's the funny thing is like when we're chatting a lot of the time, yeah, we're doing the show, but it's like buddies having a chat. And so you just kind of go. And then I realized, I'm like, oh, fuck me. Yeah, I probably shouldn't talk about that just yet. That's all right. You saved my ass. You pulled me right out of the fire.
You bet I did. And I'll continue to do that. And unless you piss me off, in which case I'll retrieve all those bites from the trash, from the editing room floor, and just supercut them together. You
could. I mean, if you were a vindictive sort of fella, I mean, you could hold me hostage. I mean, how much do you think that secret is worth? I mean, you could extort me for mad cash.
Yeah, sure. I could. You're right. And coming later this week, the supercut of Shawn.
Why did I... There I go, planting ideas in heads again.
It's always a bad idea. It never works out. Did you guys play any games this week?
I did. I played one game. That's it. One game, and I finished it, and it was awesome, and it's probably my game of the year so far. So far. I say so far because, well, and we're going to get to this later, there's kind of a big game coming out this Friday, which I'm anticipating is going to be pretty rad.
Labo. Nintendo Labo.
Yeah,
You're going to play the Labo, shit out of that piano.
Fuck yeah. Chopsticks.
That's the only thing I can play on a piano.
It's really the only thing. I don't even know if I can play chopsticks, to be perfectly honest.
Fat fingers?
I am not touching that Labo. It's going to another writer because I'll inevitably sit on it, spill something. Like, it'll be wrecked inside of 24 hours. So I'm definitely not covering that for the site. Not a chance.
I said this in our Slack channel on the weekend, and my words, and I quote, Labo is low rent bullshit.
Don't hold back, Paul. Don't hold back.
Sent at 12:37 a.m.
Yeah.
So that should tell you my state of mind at that point.
But though, like Alex Everett asked in the Slack about, what do you think's going to sell better? And it's just like you look at the attach rate, it seems, of God of War versus Labo, and
God,
it seems like every person who has a PS4 is like, fuck yeah, I'm buying that game.
Yeah.
And most people with Switches are like, maybe for my kids. Was it
Christmas?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure, I believe it was Kaz Hirai at it once again over Twitter, and somebody had posted something about the projected sales for the Labo, and it showed like these peaks and valleys and all this sort of shit. And Kaz, he's like fixed it for you basically, and it was dead flat, and then like mega spike on the 25th of December, and then right back down to zero. Just like, it's just parents buying it for kids, man.
Yeah, that's probably pretty accurate.
Really? With $100 some odd price tag, I'm not going to buy it. I mean, no. and I know that my kid, as neat as it would be for my kid, he's going to get bored of it in a week, and I'm going to go, well, now do I put all this cardboard shit? And, it's just not worth it.
So there was a game wrapped up in that discussion, Trev.
Yeah, Far Cry 5. Yeah, wonderful game. I enjoyed it. I finished it, which, man, I can't say that about a lot of games I play lately, but it was nice to finish a game. Took me a good 25, 30 hours, I would say, by the time it was all said and done. And yeah, and we mentioned it before the pod, before we hit the record button, that I did feel like a little bit of fatigue kicked in the last 5 hours or so. I had finished 2 out of the 3 regions, and I just wanted to get that 3rd region done and finish the game. But, I enjoyed it. It was awesome. I love the way the story sort of injected itself out of nowhere. I enjoyed it. I felt the combat was wonderful. The progression was terrific. The characters were interesting. I know there were a lot of people had beef with the story, but I found the story compelling and interesting, and so felt good to kick ass and take down all those badass cult guys. So yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed it. Highly recommended.
I don't think you're alone in that, like, fatigue kicking in, though, is like almost any game when you're hitting that 25, 30, 35 hour mark on a game like that. I mean, even the best of games, you just start to peter out. I mean, your interest is only going to last so long. And that's not a detriment to the game. That's just how the brain works, man. It's just like, okay, yeah, I've basically done everything, and now I'm just pushing to finish the narrative. But you're not really opening anything new at that point. You're not, not a lot of new abilities or anything like that. You feel like you've just kind of done it. So, I mean, that makes sense. I wouldn't make that a sour note for the game.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things I could have done. I could have finished off. I could have went after the boat convoys or taken down some more silos and stuff like that. But at that point, I was like, okay, I just want to get the story done and get it over with and say that I finished it, and I did. So. But yeah, it was wonderful. But will I fire it up again? Probably not. I'm enjoying watching my daughter play it. She's been playing it the last couple days, or today. She just fired it up today. Other than that, it's been enjoyable. Shawn, what did you play?
A lot of the same stuff. I'm still kind of plunking my way through Adventure Pals. I haven't been able to just sit down for like hours on end. I fucking love that game so much. It's just, I mean, I can't imagine it's expensive. I would imagine it's like a $15, $20 title or something like that. But it's so freaking enjoyable. The humor is so good in it that, yeah, I mean, that to me is like a highly recommended if you like any sort of platformer. I mean, it leans into Metroidvania territory, but it's super fun. What I spent a little more time in is I dove into Yakuza 6.
Oh, nice.
No.
Okay, not nice.
People love it. It's just not for me. It's just too Japanese. It's like a Japanese soap opera. It's over the top, and I mean, I can appreciate it for what it is. I totally get why people like it. It's just not for me. That's all. I mean, it's not a bad game. I think it's just I thought I'd give it a shot. I went, okay, like, let's try something. Let's step out of like your usual comfort zone, and see. And I managed to get like 7-8 odd hours in, and there's definitely some enjoyable parts about it. But just the humor is, and just, I don't know, the storyline is it's just too off base for me, that I just, like, I'm a Westerner through and through, so it just didn't hook me. So now I'm going to have to go back to my coworker and be like, I told you should have taken this code. Because now I have this game I'm not going to play, and you need to put out $90. Sucker!
Well, that just goes to show you that, you've proven we should always, always cling to the things that we know and never step outside the box, ever.
That's right. See, I tried, and it fucking blew up in my face.
Yeah, you failed miserably, so don't do that again.
Yeah. Then the only other thing is I booted up The Division. I didn't play long or anything. I kind of wanted to see how it looked on Xbox One X Enhanced, and it looks better than ever, obviously. I just wish there were more people to play with. I don't think a lot of my friends picked it up when it came out. I imagine you'd be able to get it for cheap.
Yeah,
so
not anymore.
I'm so down if anybody wants to pick up The Division and play on Xbox One, because it's better than Destiny. It's similar to Destiny, but I find the implementation better. The support's been really, really good. And I mean, for me, which is really bizarre, I don't usually like that style of game. I don't usually like the boots on the ground, army war type thing,
Bro!
Yeah, well, The Division isn't quite that, obviously. I mean, I do get sucked into the whole after the apocalypse type thing, like there's been like a disease or whatever. That stuff kind of pulls me in, but that gameplay on the whole a lot of the time doesn't really draw me. But I'd love to dive back further and more into that, but I've never been able to find a group of guys to actually play with on a regular basis. So I might not last long unless I do.
Hint.
That's right. Hey, so I'm gonna keep going on trying to get sponsorships for this podcast, and I'm gonna keep hitting it out of the park with Parallel 49.
Hey, there you go.
Well, no, I picked up. They have this thing called the Bruise Brothers Neon New Wave mixer pack, and so they partnered with 12 other different breweries to make 12 like completely unique brews, and they're all named after 80s new wave songs, which makes me smile because I'm old.
Oh, well, what are some of the names? Like,
Well,
cool.
I don't want to give them all away, but I'm going to sing the lyrics to each song as I open the beer.
Yes.
So right now...
Great.
Don't tell us... just sing the lyrics.
Right now.
And I'm going to guess.
She blinded me with science.
Thomas Dolby.
That's right. She blinded me with science.
That's from a movie, too. I'm pretty sure of it.
Well, Weird Science, bro.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Thomas Dolby, though. Wow, that's a blast from the past. Okay, you got to do a couple more.
Well, I will. I'm going to get through at least 2 more beers over the course of this podcast.
Oh, I thought you were going to crack them open now, like drinking.
Well, I am. I just cracked She Blinded Me with Science. I'm drinking it right now. It's a black IPA where they partnered with Faculty Brewing Company. I'm just going to say them all. Eventually, somebody's going to listen and give us money, right?
Right. Well, that's how it works.
I think it's got to be Parallel 49. That ice cold, crisp, clean. Parallel 49 beer.
God, you got to keep up with that. You're in the wrong business. Fuck Unbounce, man. You need to be a voiceover guy.
Yeah, all right. Get me some gigs. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
And Paul, I see in the notes you played literally nothing.
I believe Sweet
that is,
FA.
That is true. I played literally nothing. I was so busy this week. But coming up this week, I'm actually playing a game that Shawn is repping called The Thin Silence.
Oh, that's right. And it's got like a mental health theme, doesn't it?
Yeah, I kind of blew the pitch when I was pitching it to the writing staff when I asked them if they wanted to understand depression.
I think that might have been the wrong way to go about it.
Believe it or not, nobody wanted to pick it up.
You're like, Jesus, dude, that's a little heavy.
Fuck, man.
So I'm playing that one now. I should have some impressions of that when we're next together.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is the embargo. There is the embargo on that. But, the one thing I do like I mean, and this isn't so much the gameplay. I can't really obviously comment on the gameplay. But I do like the attitude of the developers being open about, the things that they went through, and the fact that they're willing to put their money where their mouth is and donate money from every copy to actual charity, So that's
very cool.
Yeah, it's a good cause. They're donating, I believe it's Checkpoint, which they tie into video games and media. I believe they're based out of Australia, but yeah, put a big focus on mental health. And I mean, I don't know whether it's people working in the industry or what, but regardless, it's a charity that's actually doing something, and these guys are actually willing to cough up some of their profits, which I'm sure in the long run, when you're looking at indie games, probably isn't a lot.
No, but still, that for them to do that, I mean, it's one thing when Activision or EA says, "Oh, we're donating, 1% of all profits to a charity." It's like, big deal. But when you got an indie startup that, they need every penny of those sales, and they're willing to donate some of that says a lot, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I'm hoping it turns out for them. I really do. But I mean, this business is tougher than ever, especially for indies, right? So who knows how it's going to work out, but I do admire, that attitude for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the other one that's doing that actually this past week, I don't see it in the news, but I think it was this past week, was Ninja Theory. They did surpass the sales that they were looking for to do the donation.
They did.
So they donated $25,000.
They had what they wanted was 50K sales. They could donate 25,000, and then if they did 100K sales, they would donate 50,000. And that's until tomorrow. We're recording this right now. What is it? The 17th. So the 18th. So basically, they have to double their sales overnight, which is unlikely, but they have hit that $25,000 threshold. And didn't they already donate a bunch of money via the PlayStation version as well?
Yep, they did donate a whole bunch.
Good for
when
them.
The game originally released. So good for them as a small company. 25K is a big chunk of change.
Yeah, and I mean, considering the subject matter of the game itself, it's very fitting that's the route that they're taking.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Why don't we piggyback that right into the news?
The news.
I'm so glad you're back to do your lines.
They're like, oh, for fuck's sakes.
I tried to do I tried to do your lines last week, and I think I'm a poor substitute.
It's definitely a certain skill. Not everybody has it. What can I say?
So the first piece of news that we pulled this week is that there's a super top secret 2K game studio working on the next BioShock. Maybe. Super secret.
Oh, I was going to say, obviously not top secret enough.
Yeah. Reportedly, industry insiders have revealed the existence of such a studio.
Is this a surprise to anybody?
Nope.
Well, it's been... You have to believe that there was a new BioShock coming. The last one was a trilogy, and they said that would be it. Or was it Ken Levine that said that would be it?
I don't know if Ken Levine necessarily said that would be it. He just moved on. He's not with 2K anymore.
Yeah.
So everybody just assumed that was the death of the franchise. But correct me if I'm wrong. I'm kind of just going on what I can pull out of my archives in the brain here. Ken Levine was involved in the first one, and Ken Levine was involved in the third one, but was he not? He wasn't involved in the second one. Isn't that how it worked?
I thought he wasn't involved in the third, but
Or it was a different studio.
I'd have to look it up.
It was 2K. It was a different studio that did the second one, I think. All I know is that the second one didn't stack up.
I don't think he was actively involved. Like, he consulted or something.
Right. So and that was it.
But yeah.
So 2 is the low light in the series, right? In the trilogy.
Which is still pretty good.
Oh,
I think it still stacks up pretty good.
Yeah, it's still above average.
Agreed. I'm just wondering, unless they've got some of the brains that were already there working on this. I don't know. I don't want to be cynical. They've got a great world to pull from, and obviously we've seen it from, from under the sea to up in the sky. They can literally take it anywhere. So, I'm glad to see it come back. If this is true, I'm pumped because, both BioShock and BioShock Infinite are two of my absolute favorite games of all time. So, I mean, I'm definitely down with this.
Yeah, I feel like the timing's right. Like, it's been a long time since, like 5 years since Infinite came out. And at the time, the Metacritic average was a 94, so it was loved by everyone. Yeah, I'd love to see it come back. Apparently, there's Mafia 3 devs working on it, so I don't know. You got to take, nothing's official yet, but I'd love to see something in E3. I will tell you that much. That would be fantastic, even if it was just a teaser, a snippet, a Big Daddy smashing something. Heck, I would like it all.
We'll see, though. We'll see, because if you remember last year, 2K kind of did a big fuck you to the ESA and at E3, remember? They didn't have a traditional booth, and they had like that closed. They had a booth on the floor that was like closed to appointments only, and like they did not have an outward presence. They were not pleased with the changes last year at all. So,
which is too bad, because 2K traditionally has some of the coolest booths.
Very true.
The 2016 Mafia 3 booth was ridiculous.
Very cool.
It was super rad. I didn't realize, actually, looking now, that I didn't realize that it was Jason Schreier that blew the lid off of this. If that's the case, yeah, that dude is like the biggest fact checker in the fucking business. And he's like the kind of guy that calls other people out for not fact checking because he fact checked. And then he'll like blow them up on Twitter and basically make them fucking want to hang themselves. So yeah, this is if Jason says it's so, it is definitely so.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah. Jason likes to make sure that he's got his shit on lock before he talks about it.
Yeah, I know he's mostly respected, that's for sure. And
because he does his job. Because he knows how to be a journalist, and he makes sure that he does the digging. I mean, unless he flat out came and said, this is 100% rumor, I'd say take it with a grain of salt. But if he comes out and basically says, this is happening, that means he knows it's happening.
Well, then that's good news. That's good news. Something to look forward to.
Hell yeah.
Sure.
Hell yeah.
Hells to the yeah.
And speaking of comebacks, Shenmue 1 and 2 are getting remastered. So, Shawn, get ready, buddy. That Japanese wit that you love, it's coming in.
Shenmue, and it's
how
not
much
an
you want to
Orca
bet? This is one of those games that people have been fucking screaming over for years.
Yeah, they have been.
Like, and because you see it, everyone, like, it comes up fairly regularly, and people are all hyped up about it. And how much you want to bet that it's going to be like the way that we all treated the Nintendo Classic or whatever is like, oh my God, they're all going to want it. And then they're going to play it for like an hour. And then something new and shiny is going to come along.
That's it.
And no one's ever going to actually play it.
That is so
just
true.
The hardest of hardcore.
I mean, I love RPGs, and I hated Shenmue.
Whoa,
absolutely hated it. I
never played it.
It's so drawn out and repetitive and
Japanese.
I mean, that aspect of it doesn't really bother me. Like, I latched on to a game like Nier last year, which is crazy Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, Shenmue. Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad people are excited about it. Don't get me wrong. It's just kind of, to me personally, it's a non-event. Obviously, people have been losing their minds over this, for a long, long time. So I don't know. I mean, I honestly think it's one of those things that people get excited for it based on nostalgia, but then when it happens, it'll probably sell. I would say it'll guarantee it'll sell. But who's actually going to play through them both? Most people will probably quickly walk on.
So is it? Can you buy both for $30? Because I heard somewhere that it was only going to be $30.
Yep, it's $30, and it is both the games remastered.
The most overused word in the industry.
Yeah.
Oh God, is there ever a ton of remasters? Like, holy cow!
There's a game that came or is on its way. It's coming out soon. I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember the name of the game, but anyway, it takes place on Mars. So they called it the Remastered edition, and I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Oh,
Ugh.
I know. I'm just like, really,
gross.
really, no, stop it. Oh well, whatever.
Something else we probably should not get excited for is Konami's next game, Castlevania for iOS.
Can this studio basically like do anything more to put any fucking bit of respect or anything that they've had? Like they're literally flushing any goodwill that they've ever had down the toilet day after day after day.
Oh, can they do anything right? Oh,
Well, they
boy.
did Metal Gear Survive, and oh wait, that wasn't very good either.
I mean, I'm not one of those bitter fucks who, I think we chatted about this way back in one of the earlier casts. I'm not all like fuck Konami because of the whole Kojima thing or anything like that. I mean, who knows what the business was behind closed doors, but they're just not making anything worth playing. And
aside from PES, not a lot.
But I mean, how about respecting the Castlevania franchise for Christ's sake and not doing a cut rate iOS game? I mean,
At least Bloodstained is still coming out.
but that's not
Exactly.
well. I mean,
But that's at least gonna get people's Castlevania juices flowing.
yeah, and I think it's if I remember correctly, I think 505 Games stepped up to publish that because the Bloodstained had a wildly crazy successful Kickstarter, and then and then 505 came in to do the publishing on that. I'm actually working with the team from Bloodstained on an article that I should be publishing within the next couple months here. So
Nice.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's where everybody gets their Castlevania fix from, is a game that was inspired by it. Not this fucking garbage. I mean, get out of here. Konami.
Get out of here.
They're a big enough company that I'm sure they're publicly traded or whatever else. I mean, whoever isn't like sell and just getting the fuck out right now. I mean, this company is, any goodwill they had is just gone. Nobody at least in the gaming industry, I mean, in terms of fans or consumers, is going, oh, Konami, man, what a stand-up company. I love their games.
No, nobody's saying that at the moment. Nope. No.
Hell no.
Well, speaking of stand-up companies, we apparently can't stop talking about this particular studio, since I think they've been on just about every cast we've ever made. That's Cliffy B and the boys over at Bosky.
What did he do now?
Well, Cliff's none too happy with the hiring practices at Epic. He's not happy that employees are being poached by the Fortnite boys and gals.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough that both studios are in the same town. So there's that. But yeah, no, he basically, he got ballsy because he went right over Twitter and actually called them out. He's like, hey, Epic, could you please stop trying to hire away my team? We just launched Radical Heights on Unreal Engine 4 and are really happy with how it's going. Basically, like, it kind of blew up in his face because some former employees were like, we're not quit. You can't treat us like objects in a sense, right? Like, we are, you don't own anything. And, if there's somewhere that's going to give me a better paycheck or allow me to provide for my family better, well, that's what I'm going to do. Right.
Well,
so,
and let's be real here. Like, Fortnite's the biggest game on the planet. And if they're willing to hire you, like, that's probably quite a bit more stability as well, right? So.
Yeah. And infinite resources, basically.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's just it. Right. I mean, one of the guys in particular, he was a programmer who does now work for Epic and did work. He was with he worked with Boss Key for Lawbreakers. Basically, called him out though and said, like, it's a bit presumptuous, he said, to suggest that Epic's poaching employees. He's like, we all had our own reasons for making the choice to leave Boss Key for Epic, and to act like we are commodities being stolen is a bit hurtful. We are people first and foremost. So I mean, whether or not Cliffy was just, he tipped a couple back and he's like, I'm going to Twitter. You know what I mean? It didn't really, it just didn't work in his favor. And it doesn't help that, I mean, we touched on this last week. There are a few people.
Shawn, I feel like you do that once in a while. I've tipped a couple back. I'm going to Twitter.
Less Twitter and more podcast.
I'm going to the pod.
That's right. We touched on this last week. Radical Heights, there's a few groups or sites or whatever that seem to think it's okay. But for the most part, people are kind of taking a dump all over it. So it doesn't help that the game isn't necessarily stacking up at this point.
I know. I feel like I should have. I feel like, at COGconnected.com, COGconnected on Facebook, COGconnected on Twitter, COGconnected on Instagram. I'm your company man. I feel like
he's back, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. He's back.
had to get the plug in, the shameless plug.
It's not shameless, you lying son of a bitch. It's purposeful. That's different.
It is.
It's completely shameful.
Shameful. Purposeful.
I do it too. Bills got to be paid, boys.
But why didn't we? Yeah, why didn't we cover that? I don't know. Like, maybe we should have covered the game.
Well, I mean, it literally, he announced it, and then it came out, and he's like,
the next day.
It's out tomorrow.
Right.
And it just looked, even from their initial trailer, it just looked janky as all get out. Like, it just looked... I dig the aesthetic, like the whole like 80s rocker, like the vibe is really cool, but I mean, maybe we need to give it obviously more time to develop. It's alpha level completion. I mean, it's so early in. So you'll definitely see a lot of improvement. And it's not like, I mean, it's the same way that the guys from Bluehole with PUBG were, bitching and moaning at every Battle Royale game that came out after PUBG and wanting to sue them and everything else. So Fortnite's the biggest one on the planet, but, people are kind of shitting on Cliffy going, oh, it's just another, you're just copying Fortnite. Well, Fortnite just copied PUBG. Like, right. No, you're taking a mechanic, and if you guys can find a way to make this game unique to you, awesome. I mean, I don't wish him any ill will. I hope it succeeds. I really do. I mean, I hate seeing games fail.
Right.
But right now, it just feels like they should have held on to it for a little bit longer rather than throw it out there, because it feels like they threw it out there and they're basically just begging, give us some money. Like, we're going to go under, just give us some money. Right.
And I'm sure he didn't mean his Twitter post to come across that way, treating people as objects and that sort of thing. It's just the way it was interpreted. He was grumpy that, he's losing devs and, it boiled over.
Yeah, well, and I agree with you. And that's the thing. I think people automatically, and people might even assume that that's how we think too, because we give him shit when he deserves it, in a sense. But I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he just sometimes gets shit on, without good reason. So they just kind of expect the worst out of him. I don't think that that's how it is at all. Like you say, Paul, it was more so just him, he was a little pissy that day, and he's like, fuck. Like, I'm trying to keep I'm trying to keep my head above water. I'm trying to keep all these other people employed. He has an entire studio that he pays, right?
We're trying to take this studio to radical heights.
Dun dun. Someone had to say it.
Yeah, there you go.
Might as well have been you.
But part of me sympathizes with them. Like, even at COG, when we lose a writer to another site, where you know damn well that site's just going to be, they're in a better position to pay that writer a lot more than we can. And I mean, I don't hold it against the writers in any way, and I don't hold it against those other websites either that want to recruit some of our most talented guys. So
depends on the website. Some of them are fuckers.
Some of them are slimy. We've had some. There has been some slimy stuff that's happened to us in the past for sure. Won't mention any names.
Some of them are fuckers.
Some of them are motherfuckers. but you get over
Suckers,
it.
That's what they are.
You're a cocksucker. Don't you dare, Paul.
I don't know if Paul's actually taken the initiative to soundbite any of that yet.
Wouldn't you like to know?
He's saving up for the best of the pod.
That's right.
I'm saving it for the Shawn specific supercut cast.
Yes.
The transition between sections.
Great. Can't fucking wait. How much do I owe you?
It's ticking up by the minute. I'm accepting offers right now. Yeah.
I probably deserve it. It is what it is.
But that's it for the news. It was kind of a news light week, except for the fact that Dad of War is coming out on Friday.
Or
Mad Dad.
That's right. Mad Dad and the Rad Lad, which forever this game will be. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. I think it was John Ryan with IGN. One of the delightful people from IGN that I met at E3 at the Fig. So Paul and Trevor, you can only imagine the state I was in when I met John Ryan.
Tipsy.
Well, the fact that he gave me his card, he's like, email me, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm like, I walked out of there, I'm like, I'm going to work at IGN. And it never happened. Look at me now. But yeah, no, I saw him refer to God of War as that. And forever now, Mad Dad and the Rad Lad is the name of the game for me.
And it is lighting up the Metacritic charts. We're at, last I checked, 101 reviews. The meta is 95.
That is impressive.
Universal acclaim.
That is impressive.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people going so far as to say, like, game of the generation. So, I mean...
It's so funny because Patrick submitted my review and he's like, Trevor, I'm coming in at a 95, and I really think it deserves it. And I know you think it's going to be too high, but I really think it deserves it. And I'm like, no, like if that's what you feel, and then you've backed it up, and the rationale's strong, then yeah, let's go with 95. Sure, it's going to be higher than the average, but whatever, I'll back you. Let's go with it. No, I was dead wrong. In fact, there are so many 100s, it's blowing me away.
It's got to be like close to. I mean, it is the highest ranked Sony game of this generation. So,
crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, when you think about it, I mean, apart from Horizon only finished it around like an 80 something in the long run. I mean, what came out that high that wasn't a remaster?
I'd have to
like
look
The Last of Us remastered.
I'd have to look it up.
Right? I mean,
the only thing that's higher on PS4 is GTA 5.
And it's actually higher. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a must-buy. It's definitely a $79.99 purchase for me on Friday. No question.
I pre-ordered it, and Trevor, I owe you money.
Oh, yeah, you were the... I sent Shawn a message. Did you spend some money on the credit card? Pause. Maybe.
Was this? I had all my accounts tied to, because we were able to write it off through the business. I had all my accounts were tied into the credit card for the company. And so I'm not thinking about it, and I'm like, I want this game, and I press the purchase button, and then I turn off thinking about it. And yeah, it's a good thing you reminded me, because if you hadn't said anything, I literally probably would have just forgotten.
So wait a minute, 89, is that like a special edition or something like that?
Oh,
shouldn't it have been...
I'm just a sucker. I just want the skins and the wallpapers. And
I get you every time.
I am such a fucking sucker.
Man, oh man.
Oh,
you do that every time. I've noticed when you buy things, you are all in. The season's pass, like any little extra bells and whistle, you are all in.
Yeah, I'm all about that FOMO. That's the problem. I'm like, the game won't be the same without the extra shield skins. I need them. And I get sucked in every fucking time. But before, when I didn't have to worry about it as much, now that it's coming back out of my very personal bank account, I have to deal with my wife on these issues, and she's like, really, Shawn? Shield skins? Really? So, that habit might disappear soon. We'll see. Hey, you know what?
No, I don't know.
No? I'll fill you in. I'm Turning Japanese. I think I'm turning Japanese. I really think so.
I don't think so.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, who is that?
The Vapors.
Oh no, I would have never got that.
I'm a goddamn encyclopedia.
Nice.
Turning Japanese by the... I'm pretty sure it was the Vapors. Now I'm going to Google that shit just to make sure that...
They have to be one-hit wonders. Whoever that is, it's one-hit wonder for sure.
I'm pretty sure it was the Vapors. Let's see here. The Vapors! Oh, God, I'm good at this.
Well done.
Yeah.
You're definitely winning in this Name This Tune competition.
That's right. Years ago, I used to go to the same pub every week for music trivia. And the deal was if you won music trivia, that your table's tab would be paid for. And I had the same group of friends come with me every week, and none of them would play. I would just play. And it got to the point where the pub actually banned me from playing.
No way.
Oh, my tab was paid every week. I'm like this useless encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to music, and yeah. So it was. I think it was like a good 8-9 week stretch where we won every week, and by the time it was like week 6 or 7 or 8, like we'd have a full table. There's like 6 of us, and we're getting drunk because we knew we'd win. And they're like, "Great, here's $1,000 tab we have to pay."
Well, you must have watched a lot of Rock and Roll Jeopardy when that was on TV back in the day. You must have watched a lot of that.
Yeah, and it wasn't that long ago that it was on. I mean...
Yeah, maybe 10 years ago?
10 years ago?
10? Yeah, something like that.
Because Karen used to give me shit. She's like, why aren't you going on this and winning us things?
Right, there you go.
Should've, would've, could've.
So
we're done with news. What's next?
I mean... We'll just quickly cover the releases because we already talked about the only 2 that matter. That's God of War, coming out Friday, and Labo, which I don't really care when it comes out, but it's this week.
What did you call it again? Just for the people, low rent bullshit. Trevor's
Nintendo,
like, fuck, I hope Nintendo reps don't listen to this.
Nintendo PR, those are Paul's opinions, and Paul's opinions only.
Hey, he's entitled to those.
I'm not reviewing it.
Good thing, yeah.
Well, surprise! We have quite a few guys that have put their hand up for it. I think. I haven't checked
to be honest, though, I mean, this is one of those things that I think you really need to get the right person to review it, because it's easy to go into with a very skewed, and it's going to be hard to find balance in this one. Honestly,
should it not go to sort of a family guy, a guy that can say, "Hey kids, what do you think? Get in here."
To an extent, but I think there's a certain cloud that goes on that a little bit, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm just not seeing the value in it. I mean, we already touched on it, I guess, but I'm just not seeing the value in it for anybody outside of that, longevity wise. I mean, unless you got a 5-year-old, there's just no longevity in that. I mean, I'd love to. I want to be here. To be fair though, I want to be completely wrong. I want it to be really fucking cool, and have to come and eat my words and be like, so I'm buying Labo. You know what I mean? I want it to be amazing. I just I don't know. There's just something about it where I feel like it needs to be looked at just almost with a different set of eyes. Because sometimes people look at some of it's inventive for sure, but people love to look at Nintendo with some serious rose-colored glasses.
For sure.
And sometimes the scores that come out for some of their products, I don't want to say are inflated, but they've just got this extra shine on them because people are just so fond of the name. You know what I mean?
I think you can say they're inflated. You just have to go to Metacritic and look at some of the average scores for some of the top Nintendo games are through the roof. And so I think you're on to something. There definitely is a little bit of that Nintendo fanboy favoritism that you see with Nintendo more so than you see with the PlayStation, Xbox. At least that's my experience over the years.
Yeah, I mean,
they're people gush over Nintendo.
And that's the thing too. Why. When you're working with COG, for example, where it's a lot of the time, I mean, it's a volunteer basis. Hey, who wants to cover this? I mean, it starts to be when it's the usual suspects that are always sticking their hands up for the same product. And I'm not saying just Nintendo, but whether it's a Sony exclusive, Xbox exclusives, Nintendo, you start seeing where people's biases lie, and you know that that's going to be reflected in score. But then again, I mean, I'm sure that COG isn't the only site that deals with it. Like, I'm pretty sure every site has that in a sense, right? So I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just it's hard to, like you say. I mean, you're gonna put it out there and go, like, to somebody who doesn't want it, like you say, right? And then it comes back with a shitty score, but that's not necessarily reflected either. That's not fair either. Right?
We've had to deal with that too.
There's been some sour reviewers on COG over the years where it's been like, you're not allowed to say that to developers. You can hate the game all you want, but you can't say that. That's a little much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we work really hard on now though, for sure. Anytime there's especially big releases coming out, that's something that Trevor and I and the rest of the managing group talk long and hard about, is who should get a review, who's going to do the best job representing the game in an objective fashion. Obviously, reviews are always going to be subjective to some degree, but they have to be. They have to be. I mean,
you put out a review without subjective. Like, I love when you see that argument of like, oh, it needs to be purely objective. Like, okay, purely objective. It's a game. It's made out of cardboard. You push this button. Like that's objective, right? Subjective is like, I have an opinion about it. I mean, and that's, you don't do that. You have no flavor. What's the point of reading a review? It's meant to be an experience, right? So that's good. As long as there's, I mean, I find that there, and this is what we did with COG, obviously, a lot of the time, especially when it came to big reviews, is we all looked at it. We took 2 or 3 people. The reviewer wrote it, it's submitted, and then 2 or 3 of us look over it and we go, okay, so what are we seeing here? Where are the flaws? Where are we seeing it inflated? And we go, okay, it reads like this. Like, oh, you gave it a 90, you clearly liked it, but what you're writing is a 75, really breaking it down and making sure that the service provided to the reader is about as balanced as it could be. And I think that's a better way of doing it. And I would imagine all the big sites have that. They have a secondary, if not tertiary, level where they go, okay, submit, and we'll go over this together and we'll decide what the score is from there.
All right, guys, do you want to talk about the stuff that came in through Facebook, or do you want to do the perfect list first?
Oh, I could do either or. I'm indifferent.
I think we need to respect the fact that there's some people who took time out of their days to ask us questions.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. We need to spend too long on them, but let's go to the Facebook group.
Sure, we'll give them priority.
We're going to the Facebooks.
We went to the Facebooks, and we pulled 3 questions, sort of 3 people's
questions?
Yeah. Some of them are more thoughts than questions, but that's okay. Let's go with what Rory put first.
I believe there's a question in all of them, though.
There is at least one question in all of them. Shawn, do you want to field Rory's question here?
Rory's question? Sure. With Sony delivering another exclusive first-second party game of the year, possibly of the generation, does Microsoft even have a chance of saving face game-wise this generation? Or is it better for them to start thinking about building a killer exclusive lineup for the inevitable next box in a couple years? I mean, they don't even own any worthwhile studios making big-budget, exclusive, story-driven experiences outside of the Coalition, which is obviously Gears. What is Microsoft's next step? And do you predict big announcements at E3? There's a lot of questions there, and I like them all. Short answer, Microsoft is kind of fucked this generation.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's the short answer. I mean, I don't know if they were banking on Sea of Thieves. We've obviously given our thoughts on that. But even so, what they have State of Decay coming out. Not saying it's not going to be good, but even if it blows people's minds, that's one game in comparison to how many that Sony is throwing out the door. I mean, they are literally like, Sony is slaughtering it this generation.
Yeah, they truly are.
So like the first question, which is saving face, not a chance, man. I mean, they gotta go on a hell of a run. Like, it'd be comeback of the century.
They really need to. I mean, I think they need to have a huge E3 regardless. Can they save face? Sure, they can make a couple of big announcements that could have a ripple effect. But no, this this fight is over.
But that's the thing. But like,
it is over.
But like to say though, like saving face this generation, you know, it was pointed out to me that like, was it 4 out of 7 games or something like that were announced at 2015? I think it was E3 2015, were canceled or died.
Yeah.
You know, so like anything like, do they have anything big at E3 in terms of announcements? Probably. Are we going to see them? Well, are we going to see them within the next 3 years? No.
Maybe 2019.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll see anything this year. We're not going to see a new Gears this year. We're not going to see a new Halo this year.
You don't think so?
A new Halo?
Released this year? No. Released? No. Announced,
I expect
maybe.
to see Halo 6 come out this year.
What? Really?
Yeah.
We haven't heard anything about it.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well,
I admire the hopefulness that I'm hearing here, and I would love that to be true. But Microsoft isn't known for like announcing and releasing in a short span. They announce and then 3 years later, maybe.
Yeah, they tease the fuck out of things.
Like, they are the kings of fucking just the tip. Like,
so,
you know,
my argument there for why that's potentially not the case here is Bethesda wasn't known for that either. And then they dropped Fallout 4 at E3 and released it that fall, and it sold a bazillion copies.
True. I mean, Bethesda's a studio that, you know, I mean, or publisher, should I say, they've made quite a name for themselves. You know,
yeah,
I mean,
they seem to walk to the beat of their own drum. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, they throw a good party. I can tell you that much.
Fuck yeah.
They do. They do throw a hell of a party.
They throw a hell of a party. But no, they've locked in some good franchises that are known for certain things. You know what I mean? I mean, Doom is known, you know, for its action, its high speed, its brutality. You know, Fallout obviously has a reputation. Elder Scrolls has like obviously a reputation. You know what I mean? And millions of friggin' fans. What series do we have coming out of the Microsoft camp that people are passionate about outside of Halo and Gears? I mean, okay, another Forza or whatever. I'm not saying I'm not saying these games aren't good. You know what I mean? And like that's not what I'm trying to say. But Halo 5 was pretty lackluster for most Halo fans. So how excited are people going to be for 6? How excited are people going to be in another year from now? Because we know that we're going to get Forza Horizon. Was it 4? I guess we're at or whatever.
Yeah, that's the rumor 4.
Yeah, but when Forza 8 comes around, they're like, you know, you're at what's the phrase I'm looking for? Not end of life, but your returns.
Diminishing returns.
Diminishing returns. Thank you. You're kind of at that limit now with these franchises. It's like you've made a great racing game, and we appreciate that. Now what? You're just gonna now you see a little bit more dust or a little bit more rubber on the road. What are you doing?
Forza 7's a great game, but you make a point. Like, there's literally been no hype about that. I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of people playing it, but I feel like, especially this time around, there was not a lot of excitement for Forza 7. Yes, there was the whole, 4K, wow, it looks phenomenal. But yeah, it quickly faded. It seems to me, from the outside, as someone that doesn't play the game every day, that played it a little bit at launch, and that's really about it, that just sort of faded. And the idea of a Forza 8 coming out, you're like, oh, yawn.
Yeah.
Like, really?
I mean, Rory actually, speaking of, you know, he asked the question. He reviewed The Last Gears, and he loved it.
That's right.
He loved it. Fucking loved it. And he hit it out of the park with, he did some interviews with the guys from Gears and stuff like that. But, again, like, how much further can you go with Gears where people are finally going to, like, give us something new, give us something different? We just feels like we're rehashing a lot. And there hasn't been anything new. And then the stuff that showed promise that was new, oh, yeah, we're tanking that one. Right?
Like Scalebound.
Exactly. Right?
Like, why? I don't care how bad it's going. Like, if you got to start from the ground up and redo it, you got to do that. Because they've got nothing unique IP-wise.
Yeah.
They were able to do that. Sony did that with God of War. They completely reinvented the franchise, and in doing so, hit a grand slam. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I mean, I don't want people to listen and think that like this is just like, that we're all anti Microsoft, because I mean, if we go back far enough, XCL,
we're all
Xbox
Xbox
Canadian
guys,
Live,
right?
We the whole group, the whole idea of COG kind of came about from the fact that we were all Microsoft and Xbox fans, right?
And to this day, I play my Xbox more than I play my PS4. So I'm definitely not a PS4 fanboy in any way. I'm just trying to look at it from an objective standpoint. And look, like the evidence doesn't lie. Like, look at all those exclusives and look at how well the PS4 is doing, and we're just not seeing it from Xbox. We're just not.
Yeah, Microsoft is the dead horse in the middle of the street, and Sony will not stop kicking it.
Huh. Well, there was the thing,
and nor should they.
I saw something on Twitter over the past week or so, and I don't really remember exactly what it was, but basically somebody was kind of taking the piss on Microsoft a little bit. And it was somebody well known. I don't know if it was Ryan McCaffrey, who's a known Xbox guy with IGN. And Phil actually stepped in, and like the comment that Phil made, about, investing in our infrastructure, this, that, and the other thing, you couldn't help but stand back and go, he's a little salty. And Phil's known for being as level-headed and friendly, as possible. And it came across a little salty. And so maybe even like their most optimistic guy, the guy who's out there showcasing day after day, is starting to feel the weight and going like, fuck, what are we doing? Where are the games?
There's got to be some stuff going on behind the scenes that we're not seeing, whether that's Microsoft as a whole tightening the belt on the games division and not giving them the cash flow that they need to pump all that money into new IP or whatever it happens to be. But I mean, Phil's such a passionate guy, and he's so honest about how the business is doing. I can't imagine that are things that he's choosing to not do to make the lineup better.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and then the thing is too, maybe I don't know if either one of you guys saw this, because I think this was a couple weeks ago, but there was like there was news floating around about all these major games, and they were all multi-platform games that had exclusive deals with Microsoft for their advertising campaigns and stuff like that. And it was big frigging games, like huge games that are all coming out within the next 2 years. I'm not going to remember any of them right now, so I'm maybe going to have to do my research. Maybe I can talk about it a bit more next week. But there was like a good 6 or 7 really big games from across the studios. So Ubisoft and Square. I mean, so they're investing in certain aspects, whether it's like small bits of exclusivity, but until they really start doubling down on their first party stuff, that, you are not getting this unless you are playing on Xbox/PC, I guess. Until they dive in on that and really commit, they're going to come in second place. And I mean, I don't see Sony changing course at this point, because why would they? They're just going to keep fucking slaughtering it.
Well, if Microsoft doesn't, get boots on the ground and start working real hard, they're going to find themselves not even in second place, because Nintendo's working really hard.
They sure are.
To be that number
two. Absolutely. I mean, and the Switch is the platform to be on right now. I mean, we've been over this, right? When's it coming out on Switch? Everybody wants every game there, and the machine is capable of handling a lot of games. I mean, maybe not, to the level of, it's not like you're getting God of War, on a Switch, for example, at top quality, but I mean, it can handle most games. I mean, we've seen Doom on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're right, man. I mean, they are running the risk of slipping into third place if they don't pull their socks up. Scary, really, to think about it, because, I don't know, is this, have we been paying attention long enough? Over generation to generation to generation, to see if this is just kind of the way of it, like that roller coaster of one company and then another company and then another company, because we've always seen Microsoft they came in and they kind of slaughtered right from the start. So to see them in this second place position and, you know, on the precipice of third is kind of it's something we haven't seen from them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out over the next few years. I mean, I'm of the mindset the more consoles, I mean, within limits, the better. I mean, I like to see that competition because it brings out the best in studios, it brings out the best in the consoles and everything else. So it is interesting to watch.
Yeah, I mean, according to the numbers, according to the numbers on VG charts, Xbox One 37 million, the Switch 16 million. So it's already creeping up close to the halfway point of the Xbox One
in just over a year.
In just over a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the PS4 at?
77.6 million.
Jesus.
Like doubled. Just fucking it. It's like, fuck you, man. Give me your lunch money.
It's actually got more than the 3DS, and the 3DS has 71.8.
That is fucking crazy.
Wow.
There you go, Microsoft. Sony is taking your fucking lunch money. What are you going to do about it?
Okay, here you go.
That's right. Jesus.
That's one thing that they're doing. The other thing that they're doing, and doing, I would say reasonably well, is backwards compatibility. That's one of the other questions that came in on the Facebook, wanting to know which back compat games are the podcasters going to replay, and what games do we think are still missing?
Oh.
Well, a bunch got added today, right?
There was a bunch.
Yeah, and one of them that I played way back in the day was Hunter the Reckoning. I love that game. It's like one of the first original OG Xbox games I played, and it's probably didn't score that well, but one of those top down mindless
hack and slasher.
Yeah, exactly. That I absolutely loved back in the day. So part of me wants to fire that up again for sure. I'd probably have to buy it. I have no idea where my original copy has gone.
Hey, Trevor.
But yeah,
Trevor,
what?
You want to come over and play video games?
Okay.
I have Hunter the Reckoning.
You do not. Nobody else has that game.
I actually looked at the list of the games that came out today, because I was pretty pumped about that announcement. They announced
I know nobody else that loved that game.
Eight games came out today, and I surprisingly, of the 8, still have 4 of those discs. Wow. I have Jade Empire, Hunter the Reckoning, Elder Scrolls 3, so Morrowind, and SSX 3. I've got them all.
Nice.
Yeah, I wish I had Blinks.
That's awesome.
I wish I had Blinks, the cat, or the Time Sweeper.
Oh, come on. Why?
Because I loved that fucking game. I loved that fucking game. It was clunky
that
as shit.
A piece of shit. He sucks.
It played so bad. I did throw in Jade Empire, and I don't know who wrote it. I don't know if it was either a news piece or more of a feature article, but somebody on COG kind of was like, Xbox is nailing backward compatibility out of the park, but who actually plays it? And I honestly think that's probably a completely fair question. We all want it, but no one plays it.
Patrick wrote that.
But no one plays it because, put it this way, I'm a huge Jade Empire fan. I loved that game. And I put it in, and I put in about an hour to it, and I think I'm going to go back, but it's not like I was like, oh my God, I got to go back. And how many times have I talked about that game? I love that game. So for someone who's like bordering on a super fan of a game, it's just hard to go back when you see so much innovation going forward. So it's cool that it's there, and I'm glad that they're serving it. It just seems that, like, for all the hoopla it gets, that the market is small. We're gonna dive in, we're gonna play for a couple hours, and then you're gonna walk away.
I wouldn't mind playing or replaying Panzer Dragoon Orta. I'm not sure if I still have a copy of that kicking around, but if I do, I remember it being fantastic. The question is, was it?
But and that's the thing. I mean, you know, nostalgia is a hell of a drug, right? So
yeah, no doubt.
You think games were amazing, and then you play them again, and you're like, it's less amazing than I remember. You know, and you want it so bad. And sometimes I find that, like, by jumping into these games, I mean, you're ruining that nostalgia for yourself a little bit. I mean, I don't want them to stop doing it because you never know. I mean, there might be that one game that they drop and you play it and you're like, it's like I'm playing it again for the first time. I mean, I love that they're doing it, but I just find that it's a risk that you take when you jump into it and have that nostalgia that you're so fond of kind of ruined when you go, oh man, it's not nearly as good as I remember it. And that sucks. Like, that's kind of a shitty feeling.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It is. I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to shit on Microsoft's party. I mean, I'd love to see them, because I'm pretty sure they haven't added it yet. I'd love to play Crimson Skies again. But I bet you I would jump in there and be like, man, it was better when I played it back then.
I can confirm that. I played it for, I don't know, probably 2 hours on Extra Life this past year.
Oh, it is? So it is on backward compat?
Yep, it is.
Fuck, I can't believe I didn't know that.
It was a lot of fun. But then after a couple hours, the mechanics start to creep in on you. You're just thinking, this is not modern anymore, and it's slightly uncomfortable to play in a way that old NES and Super Nintendo games don't age the same way. Do you like how I did that?
Do you mean the SNES?
Yeah, the SNES. Fuck you both.
It's funny. A buddy of mine,
You cocksuckers.
my buddy Brad jumped into Psychonauts. So an OG Xbox game that's on back compat, and he played that sucker through to the end. He loved it. So there are people out there who want to play these games through and who have that and games that'll probably stand that test of time. I just find that you probably risk it with certain games where you go, my nostalgia stands the test of time, but the game itself, not so much, right?
Well, Psychonauts, they basically remastered that and re-released it a year or so ago, didn't they?
I believe there was a remaster, but Brad doesn't like spending money that Brad doesn't have to spend, and he had the original Psychonauts, and so back compat it is. Right,
but if it is a game that can be just remastered and re-released without people going, this doesn't feel modern, I'm just thinking it was one of the ones that's ahead of its time, so to speak, and holds up a lot better. Sense.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree with that, right? I mean, who is it that it's good old Tim of Legend with Psychonauts. So it's kind of, I mean, this is, we're talking about somebody who knows a little bit of something about making games. So certain games, like you say, they will stand that test of time. But I would just argue that the majority of these games probably don't. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, how many games are released every year, and there's only a small handful that you go, these ones are really gonna hold, and then the rest of them not so much. So, I mean, like I said, I don't want them to stop though. I mean, I believe in the next round, some of the other BioWare games are hitting back compat, like Knights of the Old Republic. I'd love to jump back into that and see. I mean, my curiosity is going to get the best of me and go, no, I want to see if it's as good as I remember. I hope so. Who knows?
Time will tell. Our last question comes in from none other than Press X to Podcast Perfect Counter, Alex Thomas.
Oh, perfect.
He did a perfect job last week.
He did a perfect job. I think one of the things we're going to have to ask Mr. Thomas is to learn how to be a little more concise with his questioning, because this is a lot of words.
Yeah, I'm not going to read this. I'm just going to sum it up. Basically, what he said is that companies like Ubisoft are giving people the opportunity to buy cosmetic microtransactions. Mm-hmm. And are there games out there that could benefit from such a practice to help lighten the burden of the microtransaction rage?
God, and you know what? All the AAA games seem to have microtransactions. You know what I mean? Like, name me a big game that's come out that doesn't have any. They seem to all have some sort of micro somewhere.
There are some games that don't, but I think in this environment of what it costs to develop games, I mean, we've talked about this time and again.
Yes.
It's not cheap. It's not cheap, and yet they haven't raised the price as much. There something's got to give, and if somebody's willing to spend that money and go, okay, well, I'm going to put out an extra $5 because I want this. I mean, this is how Fortnite literally exists. It's cosmetic items, right?
Right.
So that model, there's nothing wrong with it as long as it stays away and far. I mean, I'm not saying kind of away, but far, far away from anything resembling pay to win. Exactly.
Right.
I mean, so in terms of like what games or franchises is it a good idea for? I think it's a great idea for literally anything. Just don't ever put a player in a position that if they choose not to play your game, I mean, and by playing your game, I mean you do micros, that they're going to suffer. If you want to have a pink camouflage gun and they offer that and it's going to cost you $2 and you're willing to pay for it, awesome for you, dude. Yeah, fucking go fucking crazy. Yep. But that doesn't hurt anybody. And if that's a way for them to line their pockets and keep games affordable and keep devs employed, these guys have friggin' families too. Like, we all go to work day in and day out with that security of like, I'm going to have a job tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that. Whereas a lot of these guys, they get to crunch time, their game comes out, and they come in and they go, all 200 of you are laid off. You know what I mean? So if this is a way to provide longevity to the people who make the games that we want to play, to continue to ensure that more games come out, all around, I'm completely for it. All of it.
Yeah. Fully agree.
Yeah. And I think that rage that people have had about microtransactions, it came to a head obviously last fall with Battlefront 2 and Shadow of War before that.
Which is dumping their micros.
Right. That's what I was about to say, is that now that that's happened in Battlefront 2, I'm kind of feeling like maybe I want to play it a little bit.
Well, the balance that the micros that they are bringing back, and I mean, people are like, oh, it's ballsy, and I'm like, it's not it's just everybody loves to hate at this point. They did fuck up. They fucked up royally. But I mean, at this point, they're coming back saying it's literally like, yeah, you want to dress up Darth Vader like a bunny? Okay, cool. Go nuts. It'll cost you $5. Sweet. I got Darth Vader the rabbit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's literally zero effect. But people, I've still seen some sentiment. Oh, yeah, I knew they'd come back. What? They're literally, at this point, not excusing what they did the first time around, but at this point, they're coming back like every other goddamn game. So shut up and give them a break.
Right.
Yeah, they lost big time on that whole fiasco. They're desperate to make a little bit of that back now.
Yeah, they lost a lot of face for sure. But you know what? This industry also has a bit of a short memory. Wait for the next big game that's just like that everybody's drooling over. And as long as they don't like Anthem, for example, I mean, the head of BioWare actually made a statement this week about going back to the drawing board for BioWare. We learned a lot of things, with Mass Effect and this, that, and the other thing. And, I'm sure kind of underlying in those comments, because BioWare was swallowed up by EA, is like, and, we're not going to fuck it up with micros. Like, there's been a lesson learned, and it wasn't just by EA with this debacle. That was an industry-wide learning lesson, and EA took the fall for sure, because it was gross misuse of it. But I don't think anybody in this industry who has any sort of power, especially when it comes to the big publishers, walked away and went, maybe we really need to look at how we're doing this now. Right? And I mean, that's a consumer win. But again, like I say, everybody's going to forget about it. EA is going to have some game that's going to blow minds, probably Anthem. And everyone's, they're going to be back in the good books in no time, because look at Ubi, 3-4 years ago. And, they were always getting shit on. The Ubi downgrade was like a running joke, right? I mean, there are people who still joke about that. But yeah, I mean, they'll be back in the good books, or at least kind of on level ground in no time. We'll get past all this bullshit.
Somebody will fuck up worse, and they'll be the new whipping boy of the industry, so to speak.
I predict Activision.
They seem primed for it. They're ready. It's been a while. It's time for them to take up the mantle.
Sure, I mean, let's release Call of Duty 47. I mean, I don't know what number they're at, but...
Well, there's some rumors that came out today that there might not be a single-player campaign, which I find hard to believe. But anyway...
There might not be a single player?
there might not be a single player in the next Call of Duty game. There was some news that came out about that, and there's also a rumor today about there being a battle royale mode in the new Call of Duty game. So if they ditch single player for a battle royale, yeah, I have a feeling there'd be a lot of upset Call of Duty fans. If that was the case.
That's weird. It's like we're hitting that divide. I mean, me as an old fart gamer, take your battle royale and shove it up your ass. I don't want to fucking play it. I don't want to fucking play it.
Well, not if it's substituting, like, I mean, as a guy that's played pretty, every single Call of Duty game, I enjoy the hokey 6 to 8 hour single player campaign. I enjoy it. Like, it's a summer popcorn flick for me, you know what I mean? So,
yeah, it feels like they're selling part of their audience short.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like they're forgetting people that have been there since the beginning going, oh, we just want to hook into the fad that all the 20-somethings are playing, and it's just like, yeah, well, I'm 40 and I've got a bank account with more money in it than the 20-year-old. So if you want to sell your game, maybe you should market it to me a little bit too.
I mean, I do feel like Activision's taken a hit for sure with Destiny 2. I think Destiny 2 was a huge disappointment for them.
Massive.
But
yeah, I jumped into it. I actually played it this week. I didn't put it on the list.
Oh, wow.
I jumped in and I got caught into the same grind though. Like I played it for like 4 hours and I did all the things I could do. And then I'm like, now what? And you turn it off till next week, right? Because everything resets, and and it's that grind for like it just doesn't have the community that they were hoping for. I mean, I think last week they fell to like an all-time low. It was like 2,500 concurrent, which is nothing for a game of that size. That only came out like 8 months ago or however long ago it was. So yeah,
I know. Right. I know lots of people who are super disappointed with Destiny 2. Yeah.
A lot of people were super disappointed with Destiny 1. I mean, so is it lofty expectations? Oh, they're going to get everything right? Because it is a better game than Destiny. I mean, I'll give it that.
I don't know. The people that I know that are disappointed with Destiny 2 are going back to play Destiny 1.
Wow. Wow. Wasn't your brother a big Destiny guy?
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about.
Okay, I was going to say, because I remember your brother being, like, totally down. I remember joining in on a game with you and your brother, and he was just fucking schooling us.
Yeah. He was born to play FPS. Absolutely.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I think we were on, like, a strike or something like that, and it was just, like, when the stats came up at the end, I mean, it was, like, I had, like, 5 kills and, like, 7 assists, and you probably had more than me because I'm not very good at those games. Like 12 kills and 15 assists, and there was like 104 kills. And like, what the fuck? You killed everybody.
I swear, if esports was a thing when he was in his gaming prime in the Halo 2 days, man, world champ, he would have been way up those charts, no doubt.
Yeah, never me. I've never been that good.
No, me neither. Maybe my Madden. No, fuck no.
Fuck no.
Even at my height, like, there are just so many good players out there. Yeah, no, never.
All right, so I'm about to hop into what will be my final beer of the evening and of the cast.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I got this one.
This is interesting because it's a hoppy rice lager. I've never heard about making beer with rice. I hope it doesn't taste like sake. But it's called Spin Me Right Round. You spin me right round, baby, right round.
Right round. Now I can't remember
like a record
band's name. I can't remember the band's name.
Oh my god! Seriously, do I have to tell you the name of this one too?
Isn't it?
But they're like a one-hit wonder. Like they only had like the one hit, didn't they?
Do I have to tell you?
Dead or Alive? Is that it?
Dead or Alive.
Yeah,
my boy.
That's it.
Yeah. Did you Google that? Yeah.
I see the video. I can see the video in my head.
Did you Google it?
Me? No.
No, Paul.
No, I didn't Google it, no.
I won't drink it again, but I'll finish it. Because I'm not a quitter.
Yeah, no quitting this, man. And on that note, let's move into the perfect list.
Oh, yay!
What do we have on tap this week?
I actually wouldn't be surprised if you guys had guessed this one before we are going to come up with 10 perfect video game dads.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that
in honor
seems...
of the Mad Dad and the Rad Lad.
Yes, best name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably should have seen this coming, eh?
Possibly, yeah.
All right.
We're going to go with Trevor first because he had a week off.
Yeah, he had a week off. He can have the stress.
The stress of the fourth pick. I don't have 4. I don't have 3. I had to pick 4. All right. Well, I'm gonna take probably the easiest one and the one that like immediately sticks out to mind. I am going to go with Big Daddy from BioShock. Yeah,
seems like a cop-out. He's not a real dad.
No, he's not. Definitely not related by blood, but like any good parent, he will do anything he can to protect his kin. So he was certainly a fearsome foe in BioShock, and that's who I'm gonna go with. Big Daddy is on the list.
All right.
It's a perfect choice.
Perfect.
It makes me so happy just to hear anybody say Big Daddy in a non-ironic context.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Paul.
My mind is perfect right where it is. Thank you very much. Shawn?
Is it me? All
yeah.
right.
Yep.
I'm going to go with someone that's a little more fresh in my mind here. So I am going to choose Bayek from Assassin's Creed Origins, who the entire basis of the game is him going on a quest, basically, to right the wrong and catch the people responsible for the death of his son. But then you also see just throughout the whole game, in quests and stuff that involve kids, he's just very involved. It's heartwarming in a sense. He's got a soft spot, and you can just see that like he was meant to be a father. And the fact that you built an entire game on the loss of a child, and him, I mean, Christ, I put 100 hours into that game almost, or 60 hours, whatever it was. So Bayek from AC Origins is a perfect video game dad.
Absolutely perfect.
You know what I find hilarious about that is that Bayek goes on a quest to avenge the killing of his son by killing thousands upon thousands of innocent people just trying to make a living in ancient Egypt.
Those fuckers deserved it. Don't you start with me. I'm on beer. I'm on beer 4, bitch. I will fight you.
Right, Bayek. He's a great guy. Wonderful.
He's a good dad.
He's a mass murderer.
I didn't say he's a good guy. I said he's a good
He's
dad.
A mass murderer.
It's different.
All right, I'm going to make my first pick here, and
right.
I'm pretty sure this one's indisputable. It's Mike Hager from Final Fight.
Oh, nice call. Good call.
Perfect call, one might say.
Perfect.
Because, he's the mayor, obviously, and his daughter gets kidnapped, and so he rips his shirt off and kicks the shit out of scum. That's pretty
like
deadly.
Any good dad should do.
Yeah. Only if you rip your shirt off, though. Trevor?
We're at 3.
Okay. My turn. Oh boy. I am gonna go with Joel from The Last of Us.
Ooh.
Yes, the opening scene.
He's awful. He lets his kid die.
He kind of fucks up, Trev.
He does. But throughout the journey, throughout his story, he truly is a father figure, and I think he's sort of one of those well-crafted characters and fathers in gaming, in all-time games. So yeah, I'm going with Joel.
I won't argue that. I would have picked that if you hadn't. So
yeah.
No, that's a good choice. We already, what is it, 2 weeks ago? I think that we were talking about. I can't remember. It was one of our perfect lists. I can't remember what it was, but I remember talking about that scene, or was it intro scenes?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh God, man! Like, very few games have like stuck with me as much as The Last of Us. Like, where I just need to think about the game, and it's like an immediate gut punch because it kind of goes right to that point. I'm like, oh, it says something about a game when, I mean, the last time I played this was well over a year, 2 years ago. You know what I mean? And it still has an emotional impact, like where you get like a like, what do you want to call it? Pavlovian response in a sense, like you hear the name and you're like, oh, you shudder, Great game.
All right, Shawn, give us your pick. Pick number 2, make it perfect.
I'm going to go a little out of the box, I think. I think I'm going out of the box here. Correct me if I'm wrong, because he is not a father, but he's very much a father figure. I'm going to go with Lee from The Walking Dead Season 1. Yeah, obviously we all know that story by now. I mean, most people have played it. So, like, Lee, yeah, he was on his way to prison, but he wasn't a bad guy. I mean, he's a really, really good guy. And he steps in the role with Clementine in a way that, like, I mean, those two are joined at the hip in a sense. He really takes on that father figure role to the point where, I mean, God, the ending of that, like, I mean, there are very few games where I like, there's games that are sad and you play them and you feel sad. And then there's games that you play them and you get to those sad points and you're like, I'm a 40-year-old man and I'm like, I need a tissue because I'm bawling. So yeah, no, Lee Everett is my pick, my perfect pick, if you will. Even if he's like a stepdad of sorts, but he's definitely a dad.
I can accept that. I think I'm going to go a little bit off the grid with this one.
Best picks. The best picks are the off the grid picks.
This is it's based almost entirely on a theory, and the theory being that Cranky Kong is the father of Donkey Kong. And that... Let me finish. And that Cranky Kong is the Donkey Kong from the original Donkey Kong games, and Donkey Kong from Donkey Kong Country is actually Donkey Kong Jr. And so Cranky Kong has learned from his mistakes of kidnapping princesses and so on, and has taught Donkey Kong a better way forward. Cranky Kong.
Interesting. I did not know this theory. I mean, obviously, I'm not enough of a Nintendo fanboy. I bet you Alex Everett knew that.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
That's awesome.
Yeah. So there we go. I said my piece.
That's a good one. That's a cool choice. I never would have thought of that.
That is a cool choice. No, not in a million years.
Who's up?
It'll be me. I am going to go with Michael DeSanta from GTA 5. Now, look, you got to hear me out.
What?
No.
What? Are you high?
No.
Are you high right now?
Look, he's a hot mess. His kids are nothing but trash.
Wait, are you not? Hold up. I'm going to stop you. No, I need to stop you for just a second. Are you not like a fine, upstanding government employee who does their best to keep the dirty people off the streets in which we live? Are you?
Well,
kind
sure.
of? Okay. Did you smoke a bowl before this podcast?
It's all about building that relationship with his kids as the game progresses. I mean, he's taken them on fancy boat heists, which are fun.
Money doesn't doesn't make you a good dad.
Who doesn't want to do that with their kids? And that just builds the bond even stronger. So yeah, I'm going with Michael from GTA.
The bond? Oh man.
Shawn, do you want to dispute this one? I don't
think. Well,
he's not going to win Father of the Year.
I don't think we're going to get to like Guitar Hero 2, Guitar Hero 3 levels of dispute here. I think I see what you're saying in that his heart was in the right place. But he's definitely a hot fucking mess.
Oh, and his kids hated him in the beginning.
Oh, what does that be? Was it a Beatles song? Money Can't Buy Me Love? I mean, I don't know, man. He. All right, it's perfect. I mean, it is the perfect list after all.
Pick. Actually, it's perfect.
It's perfectly imperfect.
All right, Shawn. Give us a more perfect pick than Michael DeSanta.
man, I am drawing blanks on dads. I know that there's lots of dads, and I should know lots of dads, but I'm completely, absolutely blank on dads. Maybe I can go. I feel like I'm going like in the same direction, but whatever. I'm gonna go with it anyways. Geralt from The Witcher. Again, another stepdad situation, but he very much plays a father figure for Ciri, and obviously, the entire premise of 3 is finding her. That's the one that's coming to mind, and mostly because I'm drawing a blank in other spots, because I know that there's so many other good ones out there. This is what happens when we're put on the spot.
We are absolutely on the spot.
It's funny, like there's been so many times after these lists where I've gone like later, like it's like, like when you go to tell somebody something and then it like they ask you a question, you're like, oh, I'm not sure, it's on the tip of my tongue, and you sit there and you think about it for like a half hour and it doesn't come, and then like 2 a.m. you shoot out of bed and you're like, it was this. Or much in the same way that like when somebody like insults you and you've got a great comeback, but it just doesn't come until like a day later, you're like, fuck, this is what I should have said. But I'm gonna roll with this one because I still think it's actually a pretty good choice. Geralt from The Witcher.
I mean, Geralt goes all over Hell's Half Acre looking for that ashen-haired girl.
Damn right he does.
And, he finds her in the end.
So does that not make him a good father figure?
Yeah, that's pretty good and dadly, I'd say.
There you go. Very dadly.
Yeah.
Perfectly dadly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel good about my choice.
I'm
counting on you for something a little more off the beaten path. You're good at that. I mean, you kind of surprised me with Cranky.
I'd be surprised if Cranky Kong is on any best father lists up to this point.
Well, because you're commenting on a conspiracy theory. This isn't proven.
That's kind of my MO.
Dad.
That's kind of my MO, though, to comment.
I like it. I mean, I'm not going to argue it. I actually really like that choice.
Boy, oh boy. I don't know how far off the beaten path this is really going to be, but it's another Rockstar character.
Oh, I know who you're going to go with.
And that's none other than John Marston.
Yeah, there you go. It's a good pick. It is a good pick.
He means well.
Well, I would say he does more good than Michael does, for sure, in that his whole quest is in service of protecting the family.
I will give you that John Marston is a better father figure than Michael DeSanta.
Yeah, you know what? I'll even give him it. Really well.
Yeah, he lays his life on the line and fully gives it away at the end of the game. So, spoilers for that several-year-old game.
Nah. It comes at like what is the statute of limitations on spoilers? Because
2 months.
No, but honestly, like we live in that age where like you say something about the first level in a video game in a review, and people are like, "Thanks for the spoiler," and it's like, "Oh my god."
It's the
fuck you. Level. Oh, it drives me bananas. Like comment sections drive me crazy. You can't say anything anymore. So I'd say though, with RDR, you are well past the statute.
Somebody did that on our God of War video review. Like, where's the spoiler warning? I was like, it's a fucking video review of a game that's not out yet. Of course it's got stuff that you don't know about, you idiot.
Oh, I can't. I mean, these are things I don't miss. I mean, especially because I would see those things and immediately I'm like, I got words and I'm going to say them. And like, I realized it wasn't for the greater good of the website. It was mostly me just making myself feel better by telling these guys to go fuck their hats.
Well, worry not. I'm challenging your spirit, or I'm channeling your spirit on a daily basis over here.
Oh, I feel like that you should have an alias though, Shawn, and you should just go on there once in a while and be like this alias. Yeah, like your name can be like, I don't know, Dirk Diggler, and you just get on there and just watch tomorrow. Tomorrow, the COG YouTube videos are going to light up with a dude named Dirk Diggler. I'm going to fucking rip some fuckers apart. Just assassinate those fuckers.
You know what I like about... this is way off base. I know we've still got one more pick to do. You know what I like about like I have Audacity running in the background. Um, so seeing the the voice waves and everything as we record. You know what I just noticed? The cadence of my laugh is in perfect time. It was literally like went from a high, like a full peak to like a little bit lower every time, and the spacing was exact. The cadence of my laugh is very exact, and that's impressive to me. Yeah. It's the little things I notice, apparently.
It's
the
little things in life.
Absurd observation to make.
But wait, you'll see. You're like you're gonna see it. It literally goes down. It's like a cone.
Yeah.
Starts
in about
big,
20
goes
minutes,
small.
I'm gonna go. God damn it, he's right.
All right, we're on our last official pick.
Yep.
I'm gonna finish.
Make it not suck.
I'm gonna make
Michael
up for the
DeSanta was a
last
sucky pick.
It was perfect.
But
I'm gonna make up for that perfect pick with an even more perfecter pick.
It's a word.
We'll just make it a perfect word. Ethan Mars from Heavy Rain. Now here's a dude that's gone through a ton of trauma. His son dies. He loses his family, his career. His second son gets kidnapped, and he's determined to not lose another son. So I am gonna go with Mr. Ethan Mars from Heavy Rain.
That's a good pick, man.
Did that make up for the last one? I feel like it did.
You've redeemed yourself. I like that choice.
So we got 9-ish perfect picks and one Michael DeSanta.
And one Michael DeSanta.
His own category, really, I'd say.
But hey, I mean, if I had to give up on the Guitar Hero 3 thing, I think, I don't know, we can swallow our pride on Michael DeSanta. We'll let it slide.
Nobody told you that you couldn't pick Guitar Hero 3.
I did it for the quality of the list. You can't have two games from the same franchise in the same list. It just wouldn't have been right.
I agree.
I
would have felt really like funny though.
It would have been, but I feel like I went in a better direction. We had our discussion, and I mean some of the people on Slack, for example, thought more like me. I have my fans too, so it just goes to show though that both of those games really actually had a jump from one to the other. Like they were both really, really great games.
Mm-hmm.
Very civil of you right at the end there, because I was about to say there are several people that harbor deep hatred for you now.
Is it
in
you?
Many circles? Well, I'm not saying anything about who it is, but there are people.
I believe, didn't I not refer to you and Trevor and myself as like being in the Wu-Tang Clan, like homeboys? I mean, I'm pretty sure that like that's how I think. I mean, knowing that you deep down hate me, I mean that hurts. It cuts real deep.
I didn't say that. I said some people.
I think you were referring to you. I mean, I think this might be the end of our podcast. I mean, I think this might be the end, the beginning of the end, because I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to let this go. I know that you were talking about me.
Well,
unless you've got one more beer with some 80s trivia, I think we could spare. I think we could spare a little bit more time to get that 80s trivia in.
I think I've got another 9 of them downstairs. It was a 12-pack, but
you have to save some for next week.
Well, I got to work tomorrow, bro. So what's our list? Let's go back over this. Like, what was our actual perfect list?
We have Big Daddy from BioShock, Joel from The Last of Us, Lee Everett from The Walking Dead Season 1, Michael DeSanta from Grand Theft Auto 5,
yeah,
John Marston from Red Dead Redemption, Mike Hager from Final Fight, Geralt from The Witcher series, Bayek from AC Origins, Ethan Mars from Heavy Rain, and Cranky Kong.
Nice.
I like it. Like it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Another perfect list.
It's a pretty good perfect list. You guys have been turning the perfect lists into articles on COG. Did you not turn like one or two of them into videos as well?
Yes, there should be one coming out in the next few days too on video. But yeah, we've been working on making a couple of them as videos too. Yeah.
I love because
it's inspirational content.
Well, no, but you know what I love? I mean, is because this is like, we're pulling this shit out of our asses, and it's like, putting ourselves on the spot to do these sorts of things, but then you put that list as if we've put all this thought into it onto the site. Even if you put in a disclaimer, like, you know, like explaining to people, oh, you know, it's from the podcast and this is how we do it. You put it in an article and then you put it up on the cesspool that is N4G, and they don't read that part. They just look at the list and they literally are like, you are the worst fucking people.
Yeah.
They hate them.
Yeah,
I'd be interested to
YouTube's
see.
gonna eat that shit up too.
Well, hey, I mean, it's what gets hits, but I'd be curious. I haven't actually been paying attention. I would like to see how the N4G crowd has responded to our perfect lists. I would imagine with disdain, because they're all just fucking, they're all asshats over there.
There's a lot of hate. I don't get hung up too much on the comments, but yeah, there's a lot of like, oh my god, how did you miss this game? Like, what a trash site. And I'll be like, oh boy, get a grip. Like, again, read the article.
I always loved it. It's like, better than the trash site that you own. Oh wait.
Hey,
Yeah.
Oh look, there's another.
Well,
there's another perfect laugh and cone progression. Just pointing it out.
do we need to add in a mean tweets section on this cast?
Oh, that would be
Oh my
fun.
god, I would love if someone actually
Oh
cared
my
enough to send us
God.
mean tweets.
Like, you know, like mean comments from like N4G, or
Can
like,
we-
Yeah.
round them up.
Oh
A
my
little
god.
segment. The Press X mean tweets.
I volunteer as tribute. I'll find that shit.
Nice.
Oh,
I love
my
I
feelings.
love that, because you can't help but read these and go like, how miserable is your life that this is what you need to do to entertain yourself?
Sometimes these people are so miserable, though it's hilarious. Like, you can't help but like,
Oh yeah.
my god.
I just like the fun slurs that they come up with. You know, I mean, I've been called names that I didn't even know existed on M4G, and I think that's pretty spectacular.
Truly is. If you'd like to get in touch with us and perhaps submit a question like we talked about in the Facebook section, you should get on the Facebook group, because that's where we hang out and troll around and come up with mean slurs to call each other.
Like cock knocker. Or
Nice. I like it.
I'm really partial to fuck nozzle. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck
Yeah.
nozzle like is especially perfect for me.
We don't want to know why, but yeah, there you go.
No, not for me. I mean, I like to use it against other people.
That is a very valuable clarification. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't feel like I deserve to be called a fuck nozzle.
I am not myself a fuck nozzle. That's going to do it for us here on Press X for Podcast.
Off the rails.
Yeah, oh boy. It has been April 18th. I know I said the 16th at the beginning of the cast. It's the 18th, and we've been Shawn, Paul, and Trevor. Until next time, everybody.
We'll still be Shawn, Paul, and Trevor.
We might still be them in a week's time, and we'll have played infinitely more God of War. I can guarantee that much, and we'll probably gush about that.
Yeah, we will. I'm so excited for that game. Next week.
Next week.
Until next time, everybody. See you later.
Bye-bye.